Hello everyone, welcome to the vlog. As you can tell by the title, this vlog is probably going to be pretty rough to listen to and possibly pretty rough to make. I know it's going to be very rough for me to make, so if it's a little disjointed, bear with me. I'll try to make it as condensed as I possibly can. I tend to ramble. It's been a little while since I've made a video about this subject. I have other videos. I'll see if I can go ahead and put them in the comments and just go ahead and follow those if you want to get caught up with my journey. It is October, and October is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. And for the past week, for the past couple of weeks actually, I've been participating in different activities as in the first year of my being a lost parent myself. And it's been very humbling and very cathartic as well. It's helped me in very many ways that I didn't figure it would help in, but that's the beauty of it, right? So I guess I should start off with where my journey started as a lost parent, and that would be March 7th, 2017. It was a Wednesday morning, and I remember that it was a chilly morning, so I was excited to go ahead and wear one of the brand new maternity outfits that I had just got and bought a couple of days earlier, because none of my clothes fit any longer. And one of the things that I remember very clearly about that morning getting ready was when I went ahead and pulled on a brand new pair of my maternity leggings. They were so uncomfortable. They were tight, very, very tight. And I'm not a big girl, so like it felt like they were like almost like children's size, but the tag said maternity, the tag inside the leggings said maternity, and I'm like, okay, you know, whatever, maybe I'm just exhausted, because I wasn't getting a lot of sleep, and my symptoms were all over the place at that point. So I just kind of put it down to I wasn't feeling well. I just wanted to get to the hospital. Something inside of me just wanted to get to my doctor's appointment so that I could hear his heartbeat and feel a little bit better for the next 4 weeks. Because we were finally in the second trimester. And once I hit 14 weeks, I was just so happy, because I felt like I was finally over that imaginary barrier of first trimester versus second trimester. The safe zone is what they call it. And I was now 16 weeks along on Wednesday. And so I didn't eat anything except for a small pastry that morning while we were waiting. And as soon as I got settled into the room, something inside of me said that I wouldn't leave the hospital pregnant. And I couldn't even tell my husband that I had felt that way, because for this entire pregnancy, I was dealing with so much anxiety and stress. I can't even tell you. He would even be able to tell you that, you know, before my appointments, I would just fall into such a panic attack, an anxiety attack over it, that there were times where I almost canceled my appointments. There were times that I just didn't want to go. There were times that I needed to go, and this is one of those times. So I was getting settled in, and my midwife came in, and she asked, one of the first things she asked was, have you felt him moving? And with this being my third pregnancy, I felt him moving. I had started to feel him moving actually about 2 weeks before this, like actually a lot longer than that. And so I said, yeah, you know, he has been moving, but, you know, it's still super early, and, you know, me and her both did the, you know, like, only 16 weeks, you know, you're not going to feel him as strong or as often as a 30-week gestation baby would, so don't feel so bad if you don't feel him for a little while, and this, that, and the other. And, She reached for the Doppler machine. And I looked over across the room to my husband, and he immediately was on his feet and at my side here. And he took my hand, and I stared at him. I just stared at him. And she put the wand on my right side, which is exactly where he had been sitting for the entire pregnancy. Like, every single time that she went to go and find his heartbeat, it was right there. It was always strong, 160. It was only 160, and it was always right here on my side. And when she put the wand on my belly that time, there was nothing. And she said afterwards that she saw by the look on my face that I already knew. And I did. Something inside of me said that he wasn't alive any longer. I remember not being able to breathe. I didn't want to make any noise, and my daughter was there. So of course, any noise that she was making was absolutely just cacophonous. It felt like it was so loud, and I wasn't able to hear anything. And I felt like a pressure right here in my chest from that moment on. And I felt her, she just kept looking and kept looking and kept looking. And she said, "Hold on a second. I'm going to get the ultrasound machine and put your mind to rest." Those were her exact words. "I'm going to go get the portable ultrasound machine and put your mind to rest." And all I kept thinking was, this is just going to confirm the fact that he's not alive. It's not going to confirm anything for me other than the fact that my baby is gone. And when she went out to get the ultrasound machine, it took her a minute to come back. And I think at that point, she probably was warning some of her colleagues about what was going on. Because I found out later that I was her third patient that she had to inform that her baby did not have a heartbeat that day. And she wheeled it in, and it's one of those old ultrasound machines. It's basically the black and green screen, and it was a really old chunky one. And so she was using the opportunity to tell me that she wasn't an ultrasound tech, which she's not. She's just a midwife. But she's pretty sure that she's going to find the heartbeat. And she angled the machine to where I couldn't see it. And that inside of me knew, I knew right then that she knew that she wasn't going to find that baby's heartbeat. But she wanted to make sure. And as soon as she put that wand on my belly and there wasn't anything, I knew. And I felt her put her hand on my shoulder and say, "I'm sorry." And the whole world stopped. I immediately began making phone calls. Me and my husband made a lot of phone calls that day. One of the first was to my best friend, and then to my stepmother, and to my mom, and to Ross's family. I made a post on Facebook pretty quickly, informing people that we couldn't find the baby's heartbeat. We were sat in that room for a little while she made an appointment with us down at the ultrasound office in the same building. We were in a hospital. So that made things a lot easier on that part. But the next appointment that they had available for us was nearly 2 hours later. So during that time, my grandmother showed up, my stepmother showed up, my best friend showed up. And my grandmother took my daughter with her home, and my stepmother and my best friend stayed with me. This is when things kind of start moving along quickly. I was taken down to the ultrasound room, and everybody was allowed in there. Yeah, it was surreal, because inside of myself I already knew that he was gone, and then having it confirmed so many times within the next couple of hours was really surreal for me. We were immediately taken back up to my midwife's office, and were sat down with a lady. I can't even tell you what her name was. I don't know what she was there for. I think basically she was just there to inform us of what our next steps were. They gave me 2 options, and that was 2 options only. Because of how far along I was, I could have a D&E, which is a dilation evacuation procedure. They'll put you completely under, but I would not be able to see my baby. Or they could get me registered into the hospital and get me induced and allow my body to try to miscarry as naturally as possible, because at this point I was diagnosed with a miscarriage, because there was no signs of a miscarriage. My body wasn't ready. I hadn't started cramping. I hadn't had any of those symptoms. Basically, my body had just not recognized that the baby had died. So I decided to go ahead and go with option 2, and I got admitted to the hospital, and I started with medication at about 7 p.m. that night. At 2:56 in the morning the next morning, I gave birth to a very tiny little boy that I named Sigh. So that is my story of my loss. I tried to make it as congested as possible, I guess. My biggest goal with this video was to, I guess, share as much of my story as I possibly could, because until just before I lost him, I was not aware just how prevalent stillbirth and miscarriage was. And it's 1 in 4 women, 1 in 4 pregnancies end in miscarriage or stillbirth. That's 25%. And it's not talked about. It's not something that is even remotely mentioned. Even when you start getting into the stage of life where you start having children, women and girls are not given any information about what a miscarriage feels like when they start getting of childbearing age. And believe it or not, childbearing age is very young for women. It can start very young for women. As soon as a woman starts having her cycles, she can start having a child. And I feel that we need to bring more awareness about what a miscarriage feels like, and what the warning signs of stillbirth are. I had 2 healthy, beautiful children before this. All of my pregnancies before this were pretty textbook. So I never thought that stillbirth could touch me this way. And because of that, I wanted to make it more, I wanted to talk about it so that more people could know that this was something that could happen to them and can touch them in some way or shape or form, because I guarantee you there's somebody out there that you know that has had a loss this way. And for me, that was never me. I had never experienced something this way. I guess I really wanted to let you guys know that if you're watching this and if you're a mother, you're not alone. There's so many stories out there about losing a child in the first, second, and third trimester, and to babies that died that were overdue. I mean, they're, you know, at 42 weeks, that's very rough to even think about. There are stories out there, and this is a great tool to use to learn more about this. If you guys need anything, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. I don't post very often. This is my first video in quite a few months, actually, but we will see if that changes. I need to get some better equipment. This is just done on my phone, so that's why I had a couple of stops and starts, but we will see what happens. I will talk to you guys later, and